When we heard about the upcoming release of Payday 3 at the beginning of the year, we were super hyped. And if I had to guess, I'd say that the vast majority of fans were looking forward to updated graphics, new heists, more refined in-game mechanics, and so on and so forth. But now that Payday 3 is out, well, things aren't looking so hot. In fact, they're looking extremely bad. So what on earth happened? Time to do some sleuthing and find out what it is that's got players up in arms. Let's go. When Payday 3 was officially announced on New Year's Day 2023, the excitement and energy was palpable. While not devoid of issues, Payday 2 has been enjoyed by countless gamers for well over a decade since its initial launch back on August 13, 2013. So the assumption was that Payday 3 would simply build on the winning formula of Payday 2, add in some new features and fix some long-standing gripes, and hey presto, the best online cooperative heist simulator yet. I mean, in theory, this should have been really easy. Starbreeze didn't have to reinvent the wheel or overhaul every aspect of the game, so from a technical perspective, the progression from Payday 2 to Payday 3 should have been a relatively smooth and linear one. So now the question is, what the heck went wrong? At the time of this video's publication, Payday 3 would have been out for just over a month. Now, it's fair to say that almost every new release these days has a couple of teething problems. That's practically guaranteed. And of course there are those Cyberpunk 2077 situations where the launch is a complete disaster. So what's the deal? Did Payday 3 pull one of these perlers? At face value, not quite, but it does look like it pulled an Overwatch 2, and probably even a little worse than that, which is nuts. I don't want to say that this whole situation is the result of basically no planning, but I'm just going to say it like it is. This is a result of no actual planning, and if that somehow isn't the answer, it's garden variety incompetence. So yes, if you're aware of what went down with Overwatch 2, much the same happened with Payday 3. See, the real issue with Payday 3 is that it's online only, so when the game launched, there was a huge influx of players who were dying to try it out, and rightly so. And because of what I guess Starbreeze would call an unprecedented number of players trying to get in, the servers failed outright. Failing servers means failing game, which means no game. As far as I recall, Cyberpunk 2077 was still kinda playable, if highly buggy, so you could actually argue that what happened with Payday 3 is worse than that, and even worse or equivalent to the whole Overwatch 2 launch. Yikes! So imagine being a player who waited eagerly for more than 9 months for a game to drop, and then the moment you get in, you get nothing. Oh man, I'm actually surprised the game hasn't been completely review bombed into non-existence. But even if the Steam ratings aren't completely in the red at the moment, they're still appallingly low for what should have been one of the best games of the year. Right now, the total score from just over 32,000 reviews is 40%, and somehow I just don't see the situation improving anytime soon. Why? Well, let me explain. So as I said, it's been just over a month, and while I surmise things have stabilized, poor choice of words, I figured why not examine some of the most recent reviews to see what people are saying. So looking at the most recent posts dated October 25th, this one courtesy of Sagib, sorry if I butchered that, basically says that the current state of Payday 3 is deplorable. Oof. That's about the worst adjective you could use to describe a game. That and atrocious. Anyway, they go on to explain the launch day fiasco where basically nobody could play it, and as it stands, the situation hasn't really improved at all. What's more, there's a massive problem Sagib highlights in that the progression system has fundamentally changed. Get this, instead of being rewarded for completing heists, which is the entire point of the game, you progress by completing challenges. Huh? What is it with developers randomly changing stuff or adding in things absolutely nobody asked for? I'm a firm believer in if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And look, I understand there's a constant need to innovate and try out new solutions in games or whatever, but when you change a core mechanic of a much beloved multiplayer FPS franchise that makes zero sense, are you genuinely surprised when the fandom become unbelievably irate? Surely not. So even if you can somehow play Payday 3 right now, the progression system is just broken. So the incentive to play and complete heists is practically gone, unless you count a fleeting sense of achievement and the chance to give yourself an attaboy, or attagirl for that matter. And we're not actually done with this review yet, because this part may just be the most insane aspect. If you feel like you're taking crazy pills, there must be a million other people who are in the same boat as you. I know I feel the same way. So, throughout Payday 2's development, Starbreeze obviously introduced several quality of life, or QRL, updates into the mix to address bugs and things that may have been innovating for players. Makes sense, right? So all those improvements added to Payday 2 are not in Payday 3. And the excuse according to Sagib? Well, Starbreeze says that they weren't there on Payday 2's launch, so they're not here at Payday 3's. This is not just a nonsensical answer as our good reviewer points out here, but an utterly delusional one. I'd love to see the actual quote, but if that's more or less the official statement, I give up forever on everything. I mean, really, this short paragraph looks to summarize everything currently wrong with the game and a serious warning to anyone even considering playing it. The final dagger in the heart for Payday 3, as it were, is the fact that the first patch for the game has been delayed indefinitely. It should be coming out as soon as possible, whatever that means, but don't expect it anytime soon or even this year, if at all. This all sounds extremely bad for the game's present and future, and in truth, this could just sink Starbreeze if they don't do something very, very soon. I could actually quote or examine a few more reviews, but that really is about the long and short of it. I actually have no idea if Payday 3 will be able to recover from what seems like one of the biggest disasters in gaming history. And yes, this even includes the Lord of the Rings Gollum right now. Because of Payday 3's utter failure, at least as it stands, Payday 2 has enjoyed something of a renaissance. Yep. According to an article by Ricky Freck of Comic Book, Payday 2's player count is currently 10 times that of Payday 3. Maybe renaissance isn't the right word, since between 20,000 and 40,000 players on Payday 2 is pretty typical from my understanding. And while Payday 3 allegedly had 50,000 players on launch, that number has dwindled to just 2,500, literally 5% of the launch day total. Plot twist: those 2,500 players are still trying to get into a game since launch day. What is amazing to me though is that despite the enormity of this catastrophe, you can still purchase Payday 3, and not for a nice affordable price either. Surely new purchases should be suspended and refunds available to those who are deeply dissatisfied with the game? From a brief Google search, it looks like a lot of people have opted to get their money back since Payday 3 just straight up doesn't work, but I have a feeling many simply haven't been able to secure a refund. Are you someone who has been unable to return Payday 3? Be sure to tell us about your experience in the comments. This one is such a disaster that I'm not actually sure what the endgame is here. Payday 3 may just dissolve into nothingness, or perhaps by some miracle of nature it'll get a new lease on life. But the vast majority of reviews are enormously negative. With so few people actually playing, matchmaking is a nightmare. So for those brave few still trying to turn this dumpster fire into a fireworks display, I feel like it's just a matter of time before they give up completely. Payday 3 may just be the biggest letdown of 2023, and definitely one of the biggest letdowns of the last decade. I know there have been a lot of great releases this year, but it does feel like the bad ones and letdowns have been that little bit extra awful, and that seriously sucks. As always, I'm not going to say that the situation is completely hopeless, but I'd be lying to all of you if I actually believed things were salvageable. More than anything, I'm just appalled by Starbreeze's attitude. It kind of feels like an, oh well, too bad, and that's just not acceptable. Looking at Twitter, the situation for PS5 players is even worse than any other platform. Just reading the comments, I can really feel the anger and frustration. How is this allowed? I'd be amazed if Starbreeze doesn't get sued into oblivion at this rate, but it seems like fans' hands are tied. I don't necessarily think that Payday 3 as a game is bad, but everything around its launch and accessibility is unbelievably bad. I actually have a proposal. In future, if you pre-order something, especially a multiplayer game, you should be allowed a full refund for up to a week if you are genuinely dissatisfied and other gamers are reporting much the same problems, and possibly even if they don't. That seems reasonable to me. What do you guys think? Is this a good solution or a delusional take? Let me know in the comments. In closing, I have seen some true stinkers come out these past few years, but Payday 3 may just be the stinkiest, and my personal disappointment is endless. The sheer lack of responsibility and cowardice exhibited by Starbreeze is unforgivable. Gamers deserve better, and developers and publishers need to be held to account. And why are distribution services not doing more to safeguard their customers? Come on now. Maybe it's high time we just go back to physical copies of games, because this digital BS just straight up sucks. So that's it, guys. I'm pretty flummoxed after all that and gonna need to take a nap or something. What are your thoughts on Payday 3? Is there hope, or is it dead in the water? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you smash that like button for daily gaming lore, analyses, opinions, and more. From me and the crew, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later!